Welcome to the Laurent Collective podcast, where we go deeper than just surface talk.
Each week, we'll explore everything from family, business, creativity, culture, and faith.
To make sure not to miss an episode, be sure to subscribe and hop on to Instagram at Laurent Collective to chat with us about this episode.
Do you get overwhelmed with making decisions? We feel that too, and today we're chatting about the decision-making process as we currently navigate a big decision.
Well, welcome again to another episode with us, and we've got some big stuff that we want to talk about and chat about, and basically it's all based around what and how you make decisions. I feel like in a lot of things right now, over the last year, we've all been processing a lot of things, thinking about a wide range of things which have led to making certain types of decisions. And so, we just wanted to talk about and share about like how we kind of step into some of that stuff. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So you might be facing a big decision. For some of us, big decisions might look different than it does to others. It might be you're thinking about changing jobs or a different career switch or something like that. It could be you're thinking about moving. We know a lot of people who are moving out of cities and into more suburbs or country and that kind of thing right now because of this past year and just things that have been revealed to them, how they'd like to live. It could be a wide range of things of how you spend your money, that kind of thing. But then there's also little decisions that our whole day is filled with those.
Yeah.
From, what do I do first in the shower? Do I wash my hair? Do I wash my body? All these little decisions take up so much space that we probably don't even realize. Some of those things we just automatically do.
I mean, to be real, like those little decisions get you to the big decision.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. Yes, they do.
I mean,
but we're very much, we'll be, like we said, we want to go deeper here. And so we are going to, very much in real time, share with you a big decision that we don't have a conclusion to right now.
Yeah. Still working it out. Still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Maybe we will by the time we air this. I don't know.
Yeah.
We will for sure inform you. But we are facing a decision of whether or not we remain living in the UK. Mm-hmm. Basically, our visa is up for renewal. And so we are facing that decision. Mm-hmm. And it's not it's not a little decision at all. Yeah. We don't feel like it's a little decision. There's lots of things that go in with it. Whether we move back to the States, all of those kinds of things. And so we thought we'd process with you a little bit of how we are going through that decision making. Yeah. Mainly because we're hearing from a lot of you too that are asking questions of, we've heard everything of what people, even, big decisions of like, should we try to have kids or not right now? Yeah. Or anything
like you said, like job changes, have you been creating a new hobby or business in quarantine time? Yes. Like there's so many things that have happened in the past year, I'm assuming for a lot of us that have brought up some stirring and some potential opportunity that we need to think about. Are we going to step into this in some of these big decisions? So I think at the heart for us is, we've got this big thing that we're facing and that we're thinking about and processing, and we would just love to share kind of how we're doing that. And
yes, because when you're making a decision, it takes up mind space. And it can affect how you're feeling in your body and anxiety possibly. I mean, there's all kinds of numbers of ways that it shows up physically in us too. And I'm a personality that I would like to make the decision and I would like to get going. Pat is more of the linger in it because you want to make sure we're making the right decision. Also, you want to know how it's going to affect our lives in like 45 years. You're much future thinking.
I am definitely 10 to 15 to 50 steps down the road when actually I just need to focus on step one.
Where I am looking at the step right in front of us and saying, well, we need to make this decision because we can't go down those 15 steps. Exactly. So we have this decision.
And then I think about, okay, if that's where we're going, like then I start thinking about all the little spokes that it could potentially take us. So
And another reason we thought we'd talk about this too, we will often reference books that we are reading or have read. And
yes.
we, in our family, when I say our family, Pat and I and our oldest son have all just finished reading The Midnight Library by Matt. I don't know how to say his last name correctly. I think it's Haig. I could be wrong.
That's right. Yeah.
We'll reference it. But in that book, not giving anything away, but it is very much a book of like thinking about the decisions you've made in your life and what could have been if you made a different decision.
Yep.
I do recommend it. It's a great book.
Oh, it's such a fun book. It's a quick read. Well, it's a quick read for our son. It took me a lot longer.
Yeah, I read it pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. There's no judging how fast we read.
Going on.
You did. I wonder if it was the wrong book to read right now, because I think that at least for your personality, then you have thought, well, if we make this other decision, what if? And and it keeps going on. So recommend that as just like a thinker, a book to keep you entertained, but as well to make you think.
Yeah, it definitely helps us. Or again, it brought anxiety in my life because again, we are facing this big decision and reading this book. Again, trying not to give things away, but depending on how she does certain things, it leads her to different directions. And so, yeah.
Yes. So
good character.
One of the number one things we have found is that having a community around us, and when I say that, I do not mean that they have to live next door. They might. Yeah. Awesome if they do. They may be in a community at work. I guess if you're changing jobs, that may not be the best thing to talk about that there. But
there's let that one slip.
Yeah, exactly. It could be in a faith community you're involved with. There's all these different communities that it could be. For us, we live in the UK, but the people that know us best are some friends that we've had for 10 plus years, 20 years, that kind of thing, aging us there a little bit. But they really know us so well that they can ask really good questions. So they know we have this big decision coming up, and we've been FaceTiming, Zooming, you name it, texting back and forth of like, oh, this thing happened today, or I had this thought today, and that kind of thing. And we have a great community of people that are friends that are all different ages, from friends that are in their, and when I say friends, they're probably more also mentors, but they're friends too, that are in their 60s versus, close friends that are in their 20s, that are all kind of engaging in this with us. And so I think it's really good to have that vast variety of voices speaking into it as well. And being able to just be really open. Don't you think that's been helpful?
I think the biggest part of that community aspect is they know us. They know the right questions to ask us. They know potentially, at least for me, when I'm overthinking it and thinking again way too far down the road, when actually you just need to focus on this thing that's somewhat in front of you, that can get to you to that potential end goal. But we don't need to worry about the end goal. We need to focus on this first step, kind of thing. So I think the community aspect is always just really, really helpful, because of the questions, because of how well they know you in those relationships and that you've built with them, that they can understand, like, what, you're probably overthinking this, or have you thought about this, or I just think I always feel like they just know the right questions to ask, which will help us, or depending on if it's just me in the conversation, unearth things that I probably was already feeling or sensing, but just to verbalize it with someone else is always so helpful.
Other people can see connections in your life too that lead to things that I often forget about. We both do. Or they'll say, well, do you remember 10 years ago when you went through this thing and this happened and you made this decision, or you chose this because you wanted to go this direction? Are you still wanting to go in that direction? Where we've done that, we've been through it, and I've in many ways sometimes just have completely forgotten that. Well, they'll bring up things from the past that we sometimes maybe have been like, oh, I moved on, I made that decision, that kind of thing. But friends like that can reference.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it could be a family member for you too. Family members, friends, whatever your community looks like. they might be in person, that you're able to get together with them that way. It may be, I know so many people have created such great friendships through social media and stuff like that, that like whoever it is that you feel like you can trust, that you can talk to about things, I think it's really is huge.
Yeah, be really authentic and as
yes.
real as you can. And that you're okay, that they're real and authentic with you back.
Yes, that's super important.
That they're not just going to give you the answer that you want to hear.
That's
huge.
I think that is the biggest thing, is it's friendships. I have always said, a couple of my friends that I've had for so many years, that they're the type of friends that I know I can walk out of a dressing room in a dress or in an outfit and they'll say, oh no, that doesn't look good on you. I don't think that's a good bet. They're not saying it to be rude or anything like that. They're saying it because they're being honest and real with me.
Yeah, exactly.
I want that friend versus...
don't end up buying a dress that you're like, oh my gosh, why did I buy that
when I got home? Or yeah, like that pattern looks horrible on you, or you look super pale in that, or whatever it may be. I want those type of friends that they know, and that's a thing, that they're willing to say hard things to us when we need challenged and things like that. That's the kind of friendships in the community we're talking about. If you don't have that, I do want to say, like, that probably is a whole nother podcast for us of how to build friendships, because we're still in the works with that, of living in a city that we've lived in only for a couple years, and we don't have some of those deep friendships that we had living in the same place for a long time. And that kind of thing. So, I'm sure you have at least probably 2 people that you could be able to engage with that. It doesn't have to be 35 people in your life and things like that. And with that, I will say though, ultimately your decision you're making is your decision. Or if you're in a relationship, you
got to pull the trigger at some
point. If you're in a relationship, this is our decision.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So, if too many voices in your head stresses you out, then pick a small community to talk to and process things. For us, our community that we're processing things with is a little bit wide. I mean, it's not that wide, maybe like 10 people or something like that. But, again, it's ultimately our decision. It's our life, our path we feel like we're on, and that kind of thing. But having that community is key, is super important.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with that as well, that it's our decision, that it's ultimately our decision. I think things that go into that, the finally making that decision is definitely weighing the options. Again, like I said earlier, like I'd like to think about all the different scenarios and figure out all the, little things here and little opportunities there that could eventually get us to that final destination. And so that for me is a huge part of it, of weighing the different, options that we have, whether we go this direction or we go that direction or we go under the direction. It's definitely worth it to push into that and to understand, all of the pros and the cons around each scenario, if that makes any sense.
And with that, just because something may seem like it has more cons, I'll be honest, when we first moved here,
it's very, very true.
Yeah. There were way more cons to moving to the UK and to London, and difficulties and financial difficulties. And so, I mean, the list of unknowns was huge.
It far outweighed. It didn't make any sense for us to do what we did.
No, it didn't make any sense. But we, however, felt like it was the right path. And we'll explain a little bit of that here in a second. But I think that your pros and your cons and weighing the options, that is important. And for some people, that's super important, because it can become really clear. There's other decisions we have made that once we've said, like, here are the pros on doing this, here are the things that make it difficult, that kind of thing, that has made our decision. Oh, yeah, we have our decision. Mm-hmm. Whereas other times that hasn't helped any. So these, again, we're giving you some things tools, if you will.
Yeah.
We have tried. I mean, we'll be honest with, I keep saying we'll be honest. I don't like when people say that. And yet here I am saying that multiple times. I think it's because one of our children says it. We're being honest this whole time, just so you know.
Yeah.
But with our current decision of this, do we stay in the UK? Do we renew our visa? Things like that. there's pretty much even cons, pros on both sides of the fence of things.
Yeah.
And so that is actually not really helping us right now.
Yeah,
because
that's really, really true.
there's a lot in this decision that it's like, oh, well, this over here would be great. This over here would be great. We like this here. We like this here.
Yeah.
So
the pros and cons kind of weigh each other out.
Yeah, it's not really helping our decision.
They're the same pros and cons versus the same pros and cons over here kind of thing. Yeah.
So that is something, again, you try these things out and you realize, oh, actually, that's not helping me right now. It's helped us in other times.
Yeah.
But
again, there's certain tools that you use for certain jobs.
Exactly. Yes.
And so, yeah, we're just trying to share some of the things that we use from time to time, if that makes any sense.
I think something we have done, and we're a bit of dreamers. I guess you could call us. We're creative dreamers.
You could say that for sure.
we come up with ideas, or I'd love to do this one day, and that I mean, we do have to cap it sometimes because we can go way out there and really. I should.
But there's not anything wrong with going way out there.
No, there's not.
Because you never know, right?
Exactly. But I think in that,
yeah.
The one thing that Pat and I have found so helpful, especially in the last, 5 or 6 years, as we've made some pretty major decisions for our family and moving and shutting businesses and closing a nonprofit we had, all of those type of things, is that we ultimately have to figure out what path we're on.
Yeah.
What is the thing that you're like, oh, and again, we are not, we may not have full control over these things. We may not have full control over where we live and what, does my job stay? Does my job not stay? Do I have to switch careers because I have no other option to do that and that kind of thing? There's so many things out of our control, but I still think it's important to do that dreaming, to dream and say, I would love to live in a space like this. I would love to live in the countryside or something like that.
Yeah.
And then put a reason behind it. Do you want to share what your...
Yeah, my big dream right now, for some odd reason, but there's just something that kind of comes alive when I think about this or experience it or see it, is I want to live by the sea at some point. I just do. There's something, I think, growing up, I lived in a little seaside resort town for about a year and a half. And I don't know, maybe there's just something in me that I experienced then that is slowly coming out of me as an adult right now that I really think I want to do that. So that's kind of a dream for me right now.
Yeah, and that may be a dream that is something that, we're going to do that in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the next 10, 15, 20. I don't know, but it is something we're paying attention to.
Yeah.
That, maybe that's going to be part of our story. It may not be. It may be that we just happen to visit someplace that is a seaside area or that kind of thing that is near the water, whatever it may be. But that, that we're paying attention to that. We definitely, for us, we have a certain kind of lifestyle we would love to have. Don't worry, it's not all like posh type of things or anything like that, but we want to actually be able to give back a lot. And so that means certain things for like how we would build a business or those kind of things, how we do adventures and travel with our kids and that kind of stuff. So there are so many different things that will go, a big decision for us a while ago was that we wanted to be debt free. And so we made decisions. Those big decisions we had then were informed with, is this going to put us in more debt? Or is this keeping us out of debt or going to help us get out of debt? Yeah. And that was like our questions we had during that time of if a big decision was coming, looking at it in that lens, and you're going to have different seasons of those. Looking at it in that lens of that type of thing of, is this going to help in that area or not? And then I made some decisions fairly easy because it was a yes or no on a lot of those type of things. And so
I think you hit on something too. I think just realizing that there are going to be different seasons of your life to really push into and to dream but then there are also going to be times in seasons in your life where like you said, it's going to be easier to say yes and no to certain things, understanding where you eventually want to be. And so I think I'm just dreaming, but and knowing those dreams for the future. But if there's certain things that are in your way and you need to put in certain steps and certain things and decisions to get to that point. And that debt thing for us was a big one. That again, if we wanted to live a life and a lifestyle where we wanted to be able to give in a really amazing, generous way, we couldn't be in debt. So we had to make some decisions centered around that and to get out of debt. So.
And I realize something that we are always super aware of too is we are speaking from a place of privilege.
Yeah.
We're both white. You can't see us, but just so you know, we're both white. We grew up in, suburbs. We were both able to go to university and graduate and things like that. There are certain things that we are very privileged that when we make decisions, there are other things that don't come into our decision-making process.
Yeah, that's really true.
That other people have to deal with on a daily basis, and we don't have to. Yeah. We have experienced what it's like to have very little money and have to make decisions and that kind of thing. We do know what that's like, but I want to make sure that we put that out there, that we are speaking from a place of privilege, and in that, the reason why part of our path includes being able to give generously is to help break those systems that are in place, not just in the United States, but also here and all over the world, that are in place that keep people in those areas where they don't have the same avenues. They don't have the ability to be able to dream and have those paths because of systems that are put in place. And so I just want to make sure we say that as we're going through this, because if you're listening and that is the case, like, we see you, we would love for you to reach out to us and let us know how we can help, or just if you need a sounding board and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think
just
that's
would love
just
to have a
important to say.
conversation.
Yeah, I think that's just really important to say. Jumping away from that a little bit, but it's not totally getting away from it. But again, that's part of our hearts. So again, some of our decisions, if we realize a decision would possibly be harming another person, maybe isn't the right word, but downgrading another person or something, if we said yes to this thing, if it doesn't give somebody else opportunity or those kind of things, like, that's a hard no for us. Full stop.
Yeah.
So those are other things too that will come in your decision making. Like, where is your heart aligned? What are the things your heart is aligned with? What are the things you really care about? What are the things that like break your heart in the world? I mean, there's a lot of things that do for us. And so that will affect your decision as well as if you have a faith. Yeah. That will be that's been a big guiding for us.
Yeah, for us, that's a big deal, for sure.
And that will look, for us, we believe in God, and we pray. So that means for us, at least how that comes out for us is that we pray. And we have felt like some big nudges, if you will, or different ways that God has spoken to us.
Yeah.
That we have felt like, yes, that's something we need to do. We're going to step out in faith in that thing, and we're going to ask God to provide for that and that kind of thing. So whatever faith you may have or not have, that can be another, key ingredient. Should we call it that?
Well, it's just another tool, right? It's like
exactly.
Thing that you can call upon and use and affect and guide your life and your decisions. So,
and I think the faith one in particular can sometimes be the one that people, when you're for us, when we're trusting in God to provide for something, or trusting in God to open a door or something like that, that people will say, "You're crazy. That doesn't make sense." And then it's happened and we've said, "Oh, look," that kind of thing. So again, that can be another key, and it's been huge for us in engaging in that and having others engage in that with us too. And being, again, that's another form of the community thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
And I think, I feel like I'm talking a lot. I mean, it's been on my mind a lot.
I was going to say, you're on point right now. So
yes.
I'm not going to stop you.
I think another thing too is that, obviously we're married, and so we make decisions together. There have been times that one of us has been feeling one thing more than the other. For sure. And we've had to meet middle ground, and we've had to really hash that out.
Or sometimes just trust that, okay, like, I'm going to just follow
exactly
and support you, or support this situation, and we're going to go for it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I'm going to cheer for you in it. And then if it doesn't go quite right, to not go back to the person and say,
Right.
"Oh, look, I told you it was your decision and look, it failed." Like that's not what a relationship is about at all.
Yeah.
So I think just keeping that in mind, if you are in a relationship that is where you guys share a life together and that kind of thing, that's super important. You obviously want to include the other person in your decisions. Again, when we get to little decisions, that may not be as important, but
Right.
big decisions, again, however you define big decisions, then that is really important. And obviously we are processing our decision right now with each other constantly. And we do process very differently.
Yes.
Again, like Pat said, he's thinking, once we make this decision, this determines the next.
A perfect example is like right before we were falling asleep last night. I asked Maya a certain question, and she's like, "I knew you were going to ask that question."
I literally just started laughing.
Like there were some things that we were processing from a conversation that we had with a friend yesterday, and I was just like, right before. I mean, literally, we were about to just both pass out, and I was like, "Is it really that simple?" And you're like, I was about to say that you were probably going to say that. Like,
I knew.
Yeah, you just knew. So
I knew you were going to ask that. So you start to know each other in that for sure. And then I think little decisions, those are the ones that, like you said before, like big decisions can feel very weighing. And I think the big thing with big decisions is patience. We're both not very good at that.
Yeah.
That sometimes it just takes. Sometimes you do have to make a big decision very quickly. And then there are other times where the decision is just, it's longer, and it's you got to be patient in it.
Yeah.
and sort out the details of it and that kind of thing. But then there's lots of little decisions too. How we've kind of found some different ways of working that out too.
Yeah, I mean, I think, a big thing that we do is we trust our gut in a lot of ways, like with the littler things. Like, I think we've experienced some things in our life that I think getting into some of the smaller details of maybe a day-to-day kind of thing, just following your gut and what you need to do and all that stuff. Again, like Maya said, because we're a couple, we are a team. Like when we say that, that's like we do things pretty much as a team. Like there are very few things that I think we probably step into and make a single decision on our own kind of thing. But I think for the little things, it's a lot of times, at least for me, I know I just kind of trust my gut as best we can and that kind of thing on day-to-day things.
And I think sometimes we've been trying to teach our children this, and it's made me really check myself in this type of thing too, especially when it comes to purchasing things.
Yeah.
Often we can see something or something breaks in our house and we think we need to replace it right away. Well, I mean, depending on what it is, of course, but we need to replace it right away with something new. Or, we've had a lot of time in our house during COVID times. And so I often find myself, suddenly Googling what would a new shelf look like or whatever it may be, because I'm annoyed with looking at the same one we have. And letting that sit, it seems like it's a little decision. Now, for us, we do have like a money limit where we actually talk to each other about whether we're going to spend that or not.
Yeah.
And that some of that came out of like getting out of debt story and everything. But I have learned, and I've said this to our kids, because often they see something shiny and new that they're like, "Oh, I want to see if you can get this on Amazon." This happens. They have Amazon wish lists for grandparents to send them things during holidays and stuff. It just makes it easier with living in different countries. But then they'll add 500 things to their wish list, and then they get a little bit of money for doing, being part of our family team. We call it commissions. So they have to do some work around the house to get their commissions. Some people will call it allowance.
Yeah.
And then they instantly get it, and they want to spend their £7 right away.
Spend.
And so our new thing is, great, love that you want to purchase this thing, but we're going to make you wait for 48 hours and see if you still want it. And half the time, they don't want it anymore.
Half the time they just forget
about it. We have done that. I have literally added stuff to carts that I've thought, ooh, I want to get that. I feel like I need that right now. And then I've closed that app or whatever it is and let it sit for 48 hours. The majority of the time I decide I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
So that is a possible little decision
Yep.
that is something that is a, little decision, especially I feel like in this time it's been so easy to just like in the spur of the moment purchase something from your phone or that kind of thing because you're like feeling down like, oh, that would be nice and that kind of thing. But it really figuring out some rhythms that work for you of how you keep those little decisions in check. Again, knowing your path that you're on, if you're a goals oriented person, and knowing like does this little decision sometimes you can overthink that though, but
True.
but
Yeah.
in general, like does this little decision help me and ultimately in that thing or not?
Yep.
And that kind of thing.
Yeah, because a bunch of little decisions lead to the big decision.
Oh, well, yes, of course. That should go on a t-shirt.
Wow.
Kind of, not really.
Not really. No.
But that's just obviously our decision of a visa renewal. We're not treating that as a little decision whatsoever.
No, it's a pretty big decision.
It's a pretty big decision of just choosing, like, basically like where will our family live for the next 3 years, and is this more of a long-term thing now, and that kind of thing. And obviously we have kids, and we have to keep them informed. We have family that is back in the States and really good friends back in the States, but we have people that have been like family here now too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's there's no easy answer for making it, but this is the process we're going through. This is
yeah, it's definitely a huge process. And I think, out of any of it that, things that we've been talking about, I think at least for us currently, sharing with a community, a small community of people that can walk alongside you as you're processing it and really making it, thinking about what you're going to do and wanting to make this decision is going to be just super key for us in this time. And I'm almost certain that it will be a huge thing for you if, you're in that phase as well, making some sort of big decision like changing jobs or careers or moving somewhere else or starting a business or, who knows, or starting a family. So I think having others around you that know you is just super, super key.
I think that's okay. And finding something we didn't touch on that is really important is finding the way that you process. Yeah. So if that is for you, it's journaling, or it may be taking a long walk. It may be running. It may be working out or moving your body. It may be sitting in the middle of a field. It may be, I could keep going, but figuring out whatever that space is for you. Like for me, there are a lot of things I could say that are definitely ways that I process, but currently we're pretty much housebound because we're still in a lockdown in London right now, and taking a bath. And generally I like to read a book in the bath, but taking a bath right now and just actually not touching the book for a little while and just like sitting there in silence, because there's not a lot of silence in our house. So is just a time for me to just take some time to just process and reflect and think and that kind of thing. There is something about water. Yeah. Back to the water, hot shower will do it too.
I'm telling you, we're going to go to the sea. We're going to get there.
Taking a hot shower, like often a hot or cold shower thing is a thing. I don't understand it. I'm going to try it, but I'm a little skeptical.
I will second the shower water thing.
That's why you come up with ideas when you're in the shower.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's crazy.
Yeah. So all those kinds of things, just figure out what those things are for you. And
understand how you process things.
Yes, how you process things in the shower. We got on the shower water pit. But there you go. Again, we're being extremely real with you right now and telling you the places. We used to actually have, they were like kids' crayons for the bathtub. It was before we had children. No, did we have one child?
No, we had kids then.
I think we had one child. Anyways, we were notorious for coming up with an idea in the shower, but by the time we would call the other one into the room, we would forget about the idea, or we would say, I had an idea in the shower. So we put kids' bathtub crayons in the shower. And so if we had an idea, we could write it on the shower walls so we wouldn't forget it. I don't know if it works on shower glass wall, or shower is a bit different now. But anyways, if you need to do that, reflected and you don't want to forget it, get some kids' shower crayons, bathtub crayons, and that'll help you with that.
That is going to solve all your big problems.
It is going to be able.
Shower
you will be able
crayons
if you do this, please come over on Instagram and let us know at Laurent Collective.
We want to see your shower list.
That you have made a shower list of things that you have come up with in the shower, because that would be brilliant. And please let us know if you've made a big decision because of the shower.
Definitely.
But yeah, so we hope, as we've kind of been processing out loud in many ways, our decision making as we go through a big decision for our family, as well, of the things that we are doing. We don't have an answer right now.
Yeah,
so it's not that any of those things, I will say even in the past week, we've had a lot of clarity. Mm-hmm. We don't have a decision yet, though. So the clarity I'm super thankful for. I think we're both super thankful for. But now we have to make a decision, a big decision. And there's lots of little decisions that go in with it too, I guess. So
yes. For sure.
Yes. So do let us know. Again, one of the only way that we have gathered these things over part experience of making big decisions, but also watching others and learning from others and how they make decisions and that kind of thing, is that we've learned from others. And so
just sharing. We
would love to hear from you on what you find helpful when you're making big decisions. And the thing with making decisions is to make it and then be confident and step into it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that we can end with, is just don't be doing the look back of, if I would have made that decision, maybe it would have gone differently or better, or I don't know how that would have been. Mm-hmm. It's just being really confident in the path that you did step into. And for most things, you can change if it doesn't work out. But try to be confident in it and go in it as you make that decision. And just,
don't be stuck in the book of regrets.
Oh, you're pulling something out of that book. Don't give away the book.
I'm not giving anything away.
Go find Midnight Library.
I'm just trying to bring it all the way around.
You did bring
circling it back.
Yes, you did circle it back. So yes, don't live in that space. Step confidently into whatever the decision is.
Yeah, use it as a learning experience, whether it's good or bad, and keep moving forward.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us on today's episode of the Laurent Collective podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review, which helps others find our podcast. Continue the conversation with us over on Instagram at Laurent Collective.
We look forward to going deeper than just surface talk with you again next week.